We will be continuing with our discussion of essays, and let me put some emphasis on how to write an analytical or critical essays. In today's lecture, we will also talk about how to write formal letters. You have done email writing, which I would consider a kind of semi-formal writing. However, in certain more complex situations, of course, you will be using email, and that goes without saying. So, these kinds of formal letters can also be used in the form of emails, but consider the way those kinds of emails that we have already discussed in our earlier lectures and how different they are from what we are going to do today. So, as far as you would remember, perhaps we have talked about writing an email within a close circle of friends and colleagues. That is why I call them semi-formal. Here the letters are going to be slightly more complex and formal in nature and in their themes, although let me reiterate, they too can be written via email, considering that we live in an electronic mailing age and system. So, coming back to the first part of today's lecture, we will be talking about analytical and critical essays. We have already seen some different kinds of essays in our earlier sessions, particularly descriptive kinds, where all you have to do is describe something, a process or an experiment or an object. We have also seen what is a narrative kind of an essay. There is another term like exploratory essay that again explores, it surveys, gives you a survey of a given topic. Let me again add that whatever may be the nomenclature or the category, all essays do demand certain competence, certain extent of discussion and argument, maybe not in purely descriptive processes. There you do not argue for and against, you just describe something. However, in this case or rather in all other cases, you are expected to do some kind of discussion and analysis. So, whether the word or the term analyze or discuss or critically assess, these terms may or may not occur in the topic, but please give some attention whether you are expected to do that or not. So, practice, in other words, the more you practice, the better you will be able to address these issues. So far we have been talking about how to approach writing on an academic subject. We will continue with this, and you have to understand that while writing on an academic topic, on a technical topic, or even when you appear for certain competitive exams in English, you have to understand the question or the topic. This is always a useful strategy, that you perhaps underline the key words that you think that are essential within the essay. Sometimes you find these essay topics themselves are so long, they run into 3 to 4 sentences. Underline every key word. By now you should be comfortable with identifying key words. What are the words that you think are important? Key words generally are nouns and also verbs. So, those are the key words. So, identify the nouns and identify the verbs, and then the question, how many parts does that question have? A useful strategy is to prepare your answer. It could be an assignment topic or an exam paper. Just look at the question properly, look at the question, understand the question, underline and highlight the keywords, and then make notes. Try to formulate a draft. You should understand that essay writing is a test of exercising our skills in coming up with some style and form to explore the subject. You should decide how the topic should be tackled by paying attention to the verbs. Okay? Verbs such as describe, discuss, debate, analyze, interpret, assess, compare, evaluate. So, when it is a comparison, do not neglect contrast. Do not just highlight the points where there are similarities, but you should also be able to contrast. On the other hand, on the contrary, using such signal words also give some indication of contrast. And you know, debate is argument for and against, analyze, giving your opinion well, interpretation, giving an in-depth point of view. So, things like these. Now, it is always important to research a topic. Remember that it is investigation at this level of your academic life. You have to be a good researcher. So, you need to, or at least attempt to investigate any work which the essay title specifies as your topic. Now, this can't be done in an exam situation, but if it is an assignment or a term paper, yes, you need to do some research, read the relevant material more than once in order to understand. Make notes based on that relevant material. You can make those notes on your laptop and save them, and read as much published criticism on the related subject. If I give you a sample essay topic such as why maths should be compulsory for all high school students, then you should be able to, okay, and if the second part of the question is discuss. Let us assume a question goes like, some people feel that maths should be compulsory for all high school students and there should be no option to choose either maths or science subjects. Some boards do have this practice. You have the option of leaving maths. So, the question here is, maths should be compulsory. Whether you are taking the biology stream or maths stream, it should be compulsory for all, or even people who opt for art subjects, and maths should be compulsory. So, now how do you tackle a question like that if you are asked to discuss? See, you are supposed to go for and argue for and against. Remember that. So, you can say maths enables us to understand the statistics used in various places. It enables us to make sense of our economy, medicine and law. Many competitive exams require maths. Without the capacity to deal with numbers, we are always placed at a disadvantage. At even later in your life, let us assume you are expected to calculate interest on your savings, and if you are not comfortable with maths, you will not be able to do it, you will have to depend on others to do that. So, this is for the topic, and how you speak against it, you will have to think of a strategy. What are the points that go against that? No, people should have the option, people should have the freedom to exercise their options, and then you talk against it. So, I would like you to work in pairs and solve this. Solve this as in write an argument, a good cohesive argument against making maths compulsory for all at high school level. I would like your mentors to guide you on that. Write at least one paragraph, and if you do not have mentors, please work with your friends and attempt to write a paragraph, discuss your answers. Here is a sample exercise for you, please look at it. In many countries, we find an increasing number of old age homes. Some people feel this is the right thing to do. Discuss. Now, here is an argument given against. We must care for parents who cared for us. They have spent their whole lifetime for us, and it's our responsibility to care for them in turn. We are now busy to work at high position because of them. If they haven't spent, I am sorry about this contraction, you ignore it. We are not supposed to use contractions or contracted form in formal essays. We can't have this life now. If we care for our parents now, then only our children will care for us. Your exercise is to write an argument supporting old age home. The argument here is against. I would like you to write an argument supporting. Now see, personal thoughts or personal ideas and beliefs do not matter in a critical analytical way. Many a time these topics are given to you not to test your personal ideology. Perhaps 90%, 99% of us here would be against the concept of old age homes. That does not matter. The essay wants you to discuss. So, you have to talk for and against. You cannot say that I have nothing against it. Okay. The idea is to test your ability to discuss. Therefore, you are in an exam like situation, and therefore, you are supposed to do some kind of a research. Perhaps out there are people who speak for it. So, go get their opinions as well if it is a survey kind of a topic. But if it is just an essay that tests your written English, then please look at the verb here. The key verb here in the question is discuss. That means you have to discuss it well and thoroughly and covering every angle. Taking a position like I have nothing against, I have nothing to say for or in support of establishing old age homes is going to weaken the overall the way you have written or addressed your essay. Now, here is another topic for you. Please look at this slide. I would like you to compose an essay on globalization. I am not asking you for and against, but just globalization, that is your topic. And these are the key words that I want you to write in your introduction only. Please look at this list of words: goods and services, knowledge and ideas, phenomenon, business, development, global marketplace, economy, culture, politics. I would like you to use these words, these terms, these expressions in the introductory part of your essay on globalization. You can of course use these words and expressions elsewhere in the essay also, but try to integrate these words in your introduction. Here is a useful site for you, or rather a list of sites for you. Please look at the slide, and these are your references for argument essays. Now, good vocabulary, and I cannot stress enough on the importance and value of good vocabulary. Let us look at this slide, and using a dictionary, find the meanings of these commonly confused words. The reason why I want to do this exercise with you is that there are so many students who keep confusing words, and when you confuse vocabulary or when you get confused in your choice of word, or when the word choice is not all that good, you stand to create a negative impression on the reader. So, here is a list of words. There are several other words also. I have just given you some words that I felt you may be interested in. So, activate and actuate, advise with a C and advise with an S, appraise and apprise, attain and obtain, cite and cite, continuous and continual, deprecate, depreciate, eminent, imminent. Use your dictionary, understand the meaning, the difference in meanings. And now here is another exercise for you. Please look at the slide and I want you to again check with your dictionaries and correct the spellings of the following words, commonly misspelt words: campaign, business, commitment, comparison, definite, hierarchy, maintenance, repetition. All right, now let's move on to discuss how to write a formal letter. Formal letter and writing a formal letter is an art by itself, although many people would disagree what's so artistic, but sometimes you find it more difficult to write a formal letter, especially in a situation where there are hierarchies, academic and social hierarchies, and it becomes rather difficult for a person who is actually asking for something or requesting for something to write the letter to someone's to one's senior in professional and academic setting. By senior I mean professionally at somewhat higher level. Now, it is important that you make notes. If you are a beginner, it is important to make notes while writing a formal letter. Decide on the topic what you want to write on, and then you write your ideas. Look through the ideas and decide which ideas are more or less important. Sometimes you may have a lot to say, but you have to sift through these ideas and decide on something, something that is very relevant. Essay writing should be concise and precise and to the point. I am talking about formal letters and not personal letters. So, you cannot be talking of a family situation unless it is extremely important there. You need to group the ideas and decide on the best possible order, and after doing this exercise you should start composing each paragraph. Write the body, the introduction, the body and conclusion just the way you write a good essay. Good letter is no different from good essay as far as structure is concerned, although the length differs. Use appropriate linking words to link the ideas together. If it is a formal letter and not personal, again avoid contractions. Writing a suitable introduction and concluding it well is always extremely necessary if you want to drive your point home effectively. And of course, you need to have a salutation like dear so and so, dear doctor, dear professor, dear sir. Most of us still use or address people with whom we have formal relationships as sir and madam. Nothing wrong with it, just look at the comfort level of that person. You may address people by their names. It is always advisable to use some kind of a title. If it is a doctor, yes, if it is a professor, use professor, unless and until you have been told specifically not to use and just address the person by his or her name, which is quite rare especially in our situations. And of course, rounding off the letter, that is yours faithfully, sincerely, things like that. We no longer use words such as yours obediently, okay, but yours sincerely, with regards, yes, all these are acceptable in formal situations. Here is an example of a sample formal letter. Please look at the slide. Look at the way it has been constructed. Dear Dr. Smith, that is your salutation. I am the chairman of the 2015 Metropolitan Medical Conference that is being held this year in Miami, Florida on July 15, 2015. So, consider the way the writer has introduced himself. The implication is there that the writer and the receiver, they do not know each other personally. Therefore, this person Michael Brown is in first introducing himself. I write to, and now come to the point, why are you writing? I write to invite you to present your groundbreaking research on stem cell technology with our conference participants and invited guests. A 30-minute discussion of your work along with a 20-minute question and answer session would add so much to the intellectual landscape of our annual medical conference. The Metropolitan Medical Association would be pleased to cover your travel and lodging expenses. So, look at the change of topic in second paragraph. So, in the first paragraph you introduce yourself and give reason for invitation. Come to the point why you are writing this letter. I am writing this to invite you. And why do I want to invite you? Because you have done some groundbreaking research in this particular area. In second paragraph, what we can do for you. You are inviting someone, all that is very well, but why should the receiver of the letter be so interested in coming, and what are the incentives for him there? So, you are giving him that. Would be pleased to cover your travel and lodging expenses while you visit the conference, in addition to providing a per diem budget during your stay. And conclusion, please reply with your answer as soon as you are able, so that we may begin making arrangements. I request you to contact me with any questions or concern. Kind regards, Dr. Michael Brown. So, this is your rounding off. You do write your name in formal letters. So, let us repeat what we have done. We have introduced ourselves, we have clearly stated the purpose and the reason why the receiver of the letter is needed there, or why is he wanted there. In second paragraph, the incentives, and then you have a conclusion. All this is very precise and to the point. There is no beating around the bush. Everything is relevant. There is a transition between paragraphs, and each paragraph has a clear central idea. There is a main topic, and of course, the tone in formal letters is extremely important to observe a consistent tone, and here the tone is formal, appropriately formal and polite. Let us look at this slide now, and the question is, what is wrong with this letter? Look at the letter. Dear sir, how do you do? I understand from my colleague Professor William Jones, who visited your Western plant last month, that you sometimes allow groups of students to tour the factory and see for themselves how Japanese production techniques operate in a European environment. Please pay attention to a European environment. We do not say an European, because the AEIOU scheme works here of vowel, and the sound is still U and not E. So, therefore, if it is an elephant, then it is an elephant. Otherwise, if the sound or pronunciation is U, then it is to be, yeah. So, in a European environment. So, the sound is, let me write it for you to make it clear. Sound is U, therefore N. So, it is not even if you say university, you see this is important, U. So, therefore, these words with such sounds take an A as an article. So, a European environment. Professor Jones himself was most impressed by his own visit and recommended that I write to you. You know that Professor Jones is an expert in the area of car manufacturing and has projects worth millions of dollars in this area. Would it be possible for a group of 20 business studies students aged between this and that from Smithsonian Polytechnic to visit you before the end of this term, which is on the 21st December? I realize that you must receive many requests for such visits and that the time available may already be booked up. If it is not and you are able to see us, I should be most grateful if you could suggest a date and let me know of any normal condition you lay down for visits of this kind. Cheers and have a good day. Yours faithfully. Now, to begin with the tone, how do you do? In a formal letter where the writers are not really known to each other, you see this person is going to introduce himself, and instead of introducing himself properly, he just comes to how do you do, which is informal, and it's a kind of greeting that should be used when we know someone well. Okay, there has been some, we have been able to establish some contact between with the other person, with the receiver. Here there is no such indication and he goes how do you do, which is not really needed. He should have also introduced himself. He is a colleague of Professor William Jones, yes, but what does he do there? Of course, he explains that the intention is to visit this particular plant and to study it, and Professor Jones was impressed and has recommended that this person should also do the same. But then the inclusion of this detail, you know that Professor Jones is an expert in the area of this and has project worth millions of dollars. Why do we need this kind of information? So, this becomes irrelevant, superficial information. We need not include it at all. We move on to the next paragraph and also look at the paragraphing. Please look at the slide, the paragraphing here. Perhaps it would have been better if he had tried to fix the date in a separate paragraph and then taken the conclusion to the third paragraph, but then he has not done that. Again, look at the tone, cheers and have a good day. This is not the way we address people, especially in such formal situations. On one hand, he is giving so much of details about his permission to visit the plant and the factory, and he is concerned that perhaps these people are so much in demand, so they may be having some kind of a prior commitment. But in spite of saying the right thing so many times, very occasionally he says the right thing, but the tone becomes a problem, the paragraphing becomes a problem. There is irrelevant material, inclusion of some material which is not really required. So, therefore, this letter has immense scope for improvement, although by and large it serves the purpose. Now, look at this line and I would like you to complete the following. I want you to complete some sentences here. Dear Professor Raghavan, as a junior at ITS University, I start my physical therapy course next semester. I would love the opportunity to schedule an informational interview with you to learn more about, and I would like you to complete this. I was fascinated with the approach to physical therapy that you describe in your blog postings on so and so, and I felt You would be one of the most enlightening people in the field that I could possibly interview. I know that you must be quite busy, so I assure you I will be brief, taking up no more than 30 minutes of your time. I will contact your office next week to inquire about, and I want you to write the concluding sentences. Looking forward to your response sincerely. The tone, as you would find, is appropriate. The intention of the letter is very clear and concise. There are some sentences missing deliberately, and I would like you to complete. Now, let us practice some vocabulary here. Look at this slide, and I would like you to complete the following. This is a letter of recommendation to whomsoever it may concern. It is my great pleasure to write this letter dash Miss Divya Verma's application to your esteemed university. I instructed Miss Verma for the course Introduction to Western Philosophy. She was dash one of the most able students in the class, and her work in the class consistently reflected a level of insightfulness and attention to detail that is unique to her. Her reports were always prepared on time, and she dash among her peers for her eagerness to engage in the process of learning and discovery. Next para, please look at the paragraphing here. Miss Verma was eager to voice her own dash during class discussion and often asked me for further clarification of points I covered in my lecture. Dash her confidence and eagerness to learn. She also made a good impression on me due to her pleasant personality. Certainly she seemed dash with classmates and teachers at all times, and I believe that she will do the same when she is in your institution. Based on my observation, I strongly believe she has the potential to be an outstanding student at your university. I therefore recommend her for admission to your master's program. Please do not dash to contact me for more information. Here is a list of words. Choose these words. They are all in jumbled order in order to fill in the blanks. Unquestionably, hesitate, viewpoints, get on well, stood out, in support of, in addition to. Please work in pairs and discuss your answer within your pairs. Here is another sample exercise for you. Please look at the text here. Dear Professor, and you can write your professor's name here. This is a letter where the student is apologizing for something. I am enclosing my assignment for your consideration. I am sorry that I missed the deadline for March 18. That means that it is over March 18, it is past March 18. I had been very busy with I am sorry about that, it should be deleted. I had been very busy with my part-time job all this time. Although I could not do it on time, still I have tried to answer it to the best of my integrity. I really hope you would be able to use this. Is anything wrong with this letter? Your exercise is write a response to the above request. You can imagine yourself in the shoes of or in place of the professor and write a response to this. The last sentence, I really hope you would be able to use this. Perhaps it could have been structured better. Perhaps you would be or you would consider going through this. You see, there are some professors who lay down such rules that if you submit assignments past the deadline, they will not evaluate it. So, perhaps that should have come in a better way. So, words here and there, they make all the difference in the world. Please pay attention to these. Let us look at this slide. Here is an exercise for you. I would like you to rearrange the jumbled sentences. Sir, even the textbooks are not available. Now, this is very clearly a letter of complaint, thus depriving economically weaker students from getting assistance. We request you to look into the matter and take the necessary steps to make the library useful for us. Sufficient seating and proper reading facilities are also absent. It is really a matter of great distress. The bookshelves are covered with dust and the books are also in a very bad condition. As president of the students union, I would like to bring to your attention the unsatisfactory condition of the college library. We have brought the attention of the librarian to the above problem, but nothing has been done so far. Most of the books which are required by us are either unavailable or have very few copies, insufficient for us. Thanking you, yours sincerely. Now, this is or this could be a very well written letter. A student, and who is this student? He is the president of the students union, and he is writing this letter to perhaps to his principal, the college principal. Library is not in good working order. So, you have to now rearrange the sentences, use correct form of paragraphing. Do this exercise, discuss the answer among yourself. The full text of this particular letter is given at this link. Check your answers with that. But before doing that, please attempt to rewrite the letter in your own words. So, please make some efforts there. Now, here is a list of exercise for you. This is your homework. Do it yourself and discuss it among yourself. I would like you to write these 3 letters just to help you practice. A letter of complaint to the municipal chairman of your local area complaining about noise in public places. A letter of application for a scholarship to do further studies in a foreign country. A letter to your instructor requesting a meeting for clarification of doubts in your field of study. So, write these 3 letters and practice. Here is a useful slide for you, look at it, references for writing letters. So, thank you very much.